This is Daniel Stenberg with McKenzie County Economic Development.
Thank you for joining the program today here in Economic Development in McKenzie County. I bet a lot of people are thinking that's like shooting fish in a barrel these days. Of course, economic development out in McKenzie County means Watford City. Watford City is in McKenzie County. Watford City is kind of the heart, the center of the Bakken oil boom, and Watford City has gone through some tremendous growth. I mean, we're talking about going from a couple thousand people to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people. It might be more, but it's doubled and if not tripled in growth for a small community. So, Mr. Daniel Stenberg, how you doing?
Doing well.
Has anybody given you a hard time, like economic development in Watford City? Boy, that's got to be a tough gig. I know it's not as easy as I just made it sound, but does anybody ruffle your feathers a little bit about that out of jealousy?
Well, right, exactly. I know economic development is so broad, and so it's not so much for us about bringing jobs here. It's more trying to find the workers to come here and enhance that quality of life, make sure quality of life is maintained so that we have a good community for people to live in.
Well, and that's a good point too, because a lot of people, they hear economic development and the first thing they think of is like what you said, jobs and some of these bringing companies to town, et cetera, et cetera. Some of the things that you've been doing there, though, are a little bit different, a little bit outside the box. I know we had, I believe it was Patrick Bertinoli on a few weeks ago, and he was really, giving you a lot of kudos for your work in being instrumental in kind of bridging a gap and being a liaison for Nuverra Environmental Services and the county when it comes to their high school and that sort of thing. Are you doing a lot of these little special projects? I mean, I really haven't heard too many economic developers doing that type of thing.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes people are looking to have meetings with other people, but they don't necessarily have the venue or the person to organize that meeting. And just because our workforce is probably our biggest challenge that we have, what can our office do is what we've been asking. And having conversations with the high school and having conversations with businesses, they're like, is there ways that we can create more opportunities for kids in high school to see what the opportunities are here, right, in our own backyard, and for them to understand that. And so we don't have a college here in town that has a bricks and mortar, but we have University of Mary offering classes here, Williston State, and Train ND. We've been having conversations and, what are ways that we can meet our workforce needs without having to have people leave our community for trainings. And so that's, we've been meeting with various oil companies, various petroleum companies as well, to just kind of talk about, what are your needs? What can you guys help the school with that they can see what opportunities there are for people who want to enter the workforce right after high school, those that want to maybe go for 1 or 2 years of school, and then those that want to go on for more of a traditional 4-year degree and then enter the workforce. And with that, it's just led to good conversations amongst industry and the school, as well as the trainers that have training opportunities, to just try to figure out a little bit better the pipelines that are available and the pathways that are available for kids to get into the workforce.
Well, I tell you what, I thought that was a fantastic idea about cultivating and just exposing the opportunities of the energy industry through, trucking, I guess, is probably the right way. Maybe it's not energy industry as much as it is the trucking and distribution industry like Nuverra was coming up with. I just thought it was a neat idea because the one thing that we've been pretty vocal about on this program is that maybe the 4-year degree is not for everybody. In fact, we've even argued that the 2-year trade degree is a better way to go if your kid just wants to have a good job and make some money. Now, if they want to be an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer, that's a little bit different. But if you're not quite sure, your specialized career, boy, I tell you, the way the world has worked out in the last 5-6 years is it's really opened up a renaissance for these trades whether it be artificial intelligence or welding or electricians, or in this case, getting your CDL license. Man, you get a CDL license, that's a heck of a thing to have if you're under 20 years old. What I guess, what was kind of the hook that you saw with this to really make this thing work? Because you started introducing some of this stuff to high school kids. You could actually have a few people that don't want that, or they're a little bit upset, or they might turn it into a political argument. Did you guys get any flack or any pushback, or given the fact that it's an oil and gas town, were people pretty receptive to this and open to the idea?
Yeah, I think it's just been received quite generally quite well. I mean, the idea being we just want to present the options. I think what we're trying to help prevent against is just kids when they graduate, or even 1 and 2 years into college, they're being like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know what any of these jobs entail. If we can just present the options. I mean, the school also brings in the veterinary folks and talk about those professions, the medical professions, all of these different things. I think it's just getting kids exposed to all different industries. We're also having a meeting with healthcare providers next week actually, to have them talk about what kind of opportunities do kids have that we should be to be working on. And I think we've just kind of, it's no longer the day where people kind of keep a job for 40 years anymore. It's more like I've changed my job about 4 or 5 times in the past 10 years, and I like it, and there's not a lot of people that kind of are planning to stick with their job for 30, 40 years at the same thing. And so if there's a way for us to be nimble, and like you said, maybe you start out with a 2-year degree, and then you do that job for a few years, and then you realize, you like graphic design or something. Well, can we provide you a class or 2 or 3 or 4 for you to get the graphic design training that you need, so that you could to pivot into a different position? And so I think the idea of, okay, you're going to go to 4 years of college, and then you're going to do that job that you went to school for the rest of your life. That happens with some people, but not as much, and I think we'll just see it less and less. And so if maybe you start out with a couple years of college, and then you do some things, and then you change, and then you change, and then you just continually be a lifelong learner, and then you can kind of get into the position where you want to be later in life.
You were just talking about the changing of jobs and all that stuff, and then when you mentioned, going to school, keeping the same job for 10 years, for some reason, attorneys popped in my head, and I know more attorneys that have left the profession to go do other things than anything else. Like when I think of some of these 8-year, schooling that people do, I don't know a lot of doctors that quit being doctors. I don't know a lot of dentists that quit being dentists, but I can count on probably more than 2 hands the amount of people that after they worked for a law firm or became a lawyer, they left and went in the pharmaceutical business or went in the restaurant business or something like that. Anyway, I just, for some reason, that popped in my head when you were giving a very good description of that too, because it is true. I mean, what do they say? Most people, and this maybe has changed, but 7 to 8 times in a career, people will change jobs. And that's a good amount of changing jobs 7 times. I mean, I know that's me. Anyway, but I was going to ask you about Main Street USA also. Some of these things that we're talking about here is kind of a big picture Watford City, some of the changes happening there, some of the progressive things they have going on. We have Daniel Stenberg with us. He's the economic developer. So you guys send out a newsletter, and I get your newsletter, and that's actually one of the things that reminded me to give you a call and get this interview under wraps, because first thing on your newsletter you get is, or that we got this week, was Promised Land Project Energizes Watford City. And Matthew McConaughey was involved somehow. I don't know if he was in Watford City or if he's involved with Promised Land or whatever, but that caught my attention as one of those one of those quality of life things that people keep talking about. This is an example of that. This is an example of where something can be brought in from out of town that is something different, that gives an opportunity to either the business community or the social community to, experience a part of something that isn't day-to-day Watford City. How did that event go, and describe it a little bit, if you will? Has it happened yet, I guess?
Yeah, we just had it this past Sunday.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Very unique event that we had here, and the founder, Roy Spence, made it his mission to visit all 50 states in the next 8 years, and he's bringing along a front porch. It's a 20-foot long front porch that they stage all the conversations and entertainment off of. But just with the idea that we need to have more conversations with folks, maybe even people that we don't necessarily agree with, and then also focus on the idea that not everybody needs a 4-year degree, but all work has dignity. And so we probably had 300-400 people at our Rough Rider Center this past Sunday for that event. Tiger Lily played, as well as the band out of Nashville called Mama Deer. And it was just we had a panel of entrepreneurs from Watford City, some kind of long-term established entrepreneurs and some newer businesses, but people that have moved here from the South, people have moved here from California and Arizona, as well as people that grew up here, and they're all doing their own businesses, and it was interesting to hear their stories and kind of the challenges and the opportunities that Watford City has presented them. And so then at the end, so how Watford City was chosen was at South by Southwest earlier this year. Matthew McConaughey was helping kick off this Promise Sign project, and he threw a dart at the map of the whole United States. And of all the places that it could have hit, it hit Watford City, North Dakota. So that was pretty unique. And random way for Watford City to get this event here. And then at our event, they threw a dart at the map of Louisiana, and so they decided which city they were going to go to based on a dart throw at our event. And so it was a fun, unique event. It came together very quickly. They gave us a call probably 3 weeks ago, and they said that they wanted to come up here and put this event on, and that we were going to be the first of all the states, and so they didn't really know what was going to happen. So it was a lot of question marks that we had the last couple of weeks. So we got it all figured out. They brought a really nice team of about 10 people from their organization, and we had a really nice, fun event this past Sunday here with the Promise Sign project. And
you guys were the very first one for the entire whole season or tour, I guess?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Boy, I tell you what a neat story, especially with the dart. I mean, that's kind of everybody's fantasy is take a vacation, throw a dart at the board, and that's where we end up. And good for those guys for actually kind of doing their tour that way. I don't know how economical it is, but hey, what the heck, man? Whatever works. I can't imagine that works well for routing, but oh well. What a fun way to go.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: you're in Watford City. We're having record outputs. In natural gas and also in crude oil. A lot of people are wondering, well, where's all the business? Because everybody expects it to be $100 oil days and oil companies spending money left and right trying to get those things drilled and capped and proven, I guess. Proven would be the right way to put it. Talk to me a little bit about the activity in Watford City, because you guys are the hot zone, right, and everything. Do you guys have a lot of white trucks driving around there? Are you getting a lot of that energy activity that people at least remember back in the 2012 days, that sort of thing? Because the truth be told, it's never going to be the 2000 bonanza. It was the bonanza. It was.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody really wants to go back to that.
No.
Frantic pace. And then also what's the nice advantage of us now in the last couple of years where we've been able to continue to build out our infrastructure is that we do now have infrastructure for 7,000-8,000 people here in town, whereas before it was 7,000 or 8,000 people with infrastructure for 1,000. And so with the bypass around town and with new school buildings and another one probably going to be built next year, we now can accommodate the growth. So I would say it's a brisk pace that we have here, but it isn't you don't have to check the travel report before you leave type thing. We've been able to have, new retail continue to come in. We still have space for more, and I think if more took the leap, they would do well. But today, we have a Burrito Brothers restaurant opening up. We're excited about that. We got a Corner Post Travel Plaza that opened up earlier this year, and you drive past now, and it's busy all the time. We also had a women's clothing store, Miss Willow's Nest, that opened up on Main Street, and they're doing good and just kind of adding to the vibrancy of Main Street. So yeah, no, we've seen growth in our retail, and there's still room for more as we continue to grow. The schools enrollment went up 20% this year. They weren't expecting that much growth, but it's just kind of a sign that families have moved here, and people we had 274 births in 2017, and so that's and we had about 180 in kindergarten this year. So as long as those people stick around for the next 5 years, we're going to see another exponential growth in the kindergarten class. So yeah, we've continued to see growth, and it's continued to be projected that we continue to grow. So lots of opportunities out here.
How about over the course of, say the last 2 years, when it comes to, some of the economic development, some of the new businesses, that sort of thing? It sounds like the population signs are there. You've got births, you've got increases in the schools. But sometimes in business, it's something as simple as, are there more businesses going up and staying in businesses, or are there more businesses going out of business? Like sometimes you got in a certain area of town, it just seems like businesses aren't working there and et cetera type thing. But if you guys are getting that kind of growth and that kind of people, my guess is that, the Burrito Brothers is going to probably be in business in another year. Or are you finding that some of these businesses maybe just aren't, the niche isn't right, or there's not enough support, or maybe they got too big too fast type of thing? I guess I don't know. Are the businesses doing okay out there,
Oh yeah, especially this past year. I mean, I think you asked them, and I think pretty much everyone would say that they've had a good year. Just the challenge is the workforce, making sure that they can hire enough folks. That's probably the biggest challenge that we hear from the employers here. But we find that those that are able to pay their employees, good wages and treat them well, that helps a lot in maintaining your workforce.
Is that Watford's biggest issue with workforce? Would it be bringing people in and finding housing for them, or just maybe they got to be qualified to, be a certain type of worker for maybe an energy company? Are you hearing what some of the biggest obstacles are, either in Watford City or maybe out in the Bakken for the workforce?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what's different now than probably 4 or 5 years ago is that the rest of the nation is doing better job-wise, and so there isn't as much of a high unemployment that people are moving here from. So you kind of have to have more of a reason for people to move here. And what we found best or most effective is those that they moved here, and then they tell their brother, back at home, who's, a couple states away or something like that, and they say, hey, we really like it. We like the school system. We like everything that the community offers. We think you should move out here. And then that works better than, because we're at 1.5% unemployment, and so we can't really, if somebody gets a new job and they just move from a different company, well, we still have the workforce shortage here. So in order to help solve some of the problem, we'll have to get more people moving into the community, or entering the workforce from our school system, different things like that. And so we're trying all the above, but like you say, housing is also an issue, and we're going to be probably trying some bold steps to try to get some more single-family housing built, because that is one of the big constraints from the workforce perspective, is having housing. And because the apartments got built out, and they're filling up quite well, but those people that have lived here for 2 or 3 years, they're really wanting to settle in and be paying a mortgage instead of just rent payments. And so those opportunities are still there to get more single-family housing built, for sure.
How about coming up next year? Oh, before we get into next year, one of the things I always like to ask people when it comes to kind of the year end, if there's any theme, any major, kind of theme that kind of stuck out in the last year, whether it be growth or whether it be, retraction or infrastructure or just kind of, you know what I mean? It's the year of XYZ. So if you were to say economic development in McKenzie County, Watford City, 2018 would be the year of blank. What would you put into that blank? Kind of, I know, a little pop quiz here, but
Sure.
just kind of what kept resurfacing or came thematic over the course of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of vibrancy would probably be the word. I mean, we've gotten, just a lot of new, fun people that have moved into the community, and just like our Rough Rider Center has just provided us with a lot more opportunities. Like, that's where we had this Promise on Project event, but we also did in September a Welcome to Watford celebration, and that had 550 people came out to learn about. There was probably about 70 organizations and businesses that just put up a little booth that talked about, what does it take to join the Lions Club? What does it take? What do various banks offer? What do the various churches, 4-H, different things like that? They all came out and they talked about how to get involved in the community. So people are looking to kind of put down roots, and so that was fun with that. We're also able to host a college hockey game this week at the Rough Rider Center. We have a great ice rink there, and so that'll be fun. Another opportunity for people to just experience something that will be the first time ever to have college hockey game here. And so that, and just coupled with the high school's growth or the whole school system's growth, we've been kind of chomping at getting things going. There's a new entrepreneurship class that started this past fall at Watford City High School. That'll be good. And then a Toastmasters club also got started. We had 20 members that came together to get that kicked off. And so there's, I don't know, just a lot of different cool opportunities that as we continue to grow, just more opportunities come our way. So that makes it fun.
How about 2019? We're getting near the end of the year. What types of things are you looking forward to? I know we're not predicting the future here, but I know there's also people make plans and that sort of thing ahead of time. Are you guys got anything in the calendar for 2019? I saw you're going to be hosting the North Dakota Petroleum Council meeting next year. That's got to be pretty exciting. And I know you just had a Bakken conference this last summer, so maybe there's a couple big events coming up. But just kind of give me 2019, the quick overview.
Sure. We're excited about 2019. This past year we had Travels with Darley. It's a national travel show that came and filmed here, and they are going to be debuting that in their new series in 2019. It'll probably be January or February on public television. It's going to show on 98% of television in the United States in January or February, and just focusing on Western North Dakota, Watford City specifically, and kind of the tourism opportunities that we have. So we're excited about that. The Long X Bridge, that got enough funding, so that the replacement of the Long X Bridge, which is along Highway 85, that will be replaced. The construction will begin this year on that, and that will be a 4-lane bridge with the idea that we really need and want Highway 85 to be 4-lane from Watford City to I-94. The Williston Airport is set to finish next year. We're super excited about that. That's just an hour away, but that hopefully will expand the opportunities for more flight options and better fares for everything there. The county has a public works building. That's a $21 million project under construction now. That should finish in the spring or early summer. And so there's that, and different events. The Job Service Job Fair will be happening again here in the spring at the Rough Rider Center. And with the Skills Initiative, we're always just looking for more opportunities and utilizing those institutions that have been working with us to continue do more training opportunities here in Watford City for folks. So we're excited for that. And then we got the Rib Fest like every year, and the county fair. Rib Fest this year brought in 6,000 or 7,000 people to Main Street. That was a good event as well.
So it sounds to me like there's going to be some economic development and activity for the next year, at least in Watford City, with a number of projects happening. It's going to be recession-proof, sounds like. So that's it's kind of good news out there in that part of the country, that there's going to be that kind of activity for people. I'll kind of give you the final word. I like to give guests the final word so they can reiterate something, or in case we forgot something, bring it up, or just kind of that way the question is not framed by me. So I'll kind of give you the floor if you don't mind. Just go ahead there, sir.
Yeah, well, with that, here in Watford City and McKenzie County, we've just been working to continue to, as the oil industry has continued to grow, we've just been working hard to maintain the quality of life. I mean, I think city leaders have done a good job over the past years, but we just have to keep that in the forefront, because people don't just want a good job, they want a good place to live, and that's what we have to focus in on to make sure that we can continue to be the vibrant community that we have been for many years.